After I published Darwin's Black Box, the point was that some things in life required deliberate, intelligent design. But I never thought and didn't say that everything in life required such design. You know, maybe the shape of my nose, you know, it could be this or that. It doesn't require specific design. So I was then interested in asking the question, well, if some things do require design and some things don't, where is the kind of broad border line between those things? And when I came up for a title of the book, I tried to make it alliterative, because that sounds nicer. So I called it The Edge of Evolution. The Edge of Evolution. Where's the difference between things that require design and things that don't? And I guess in retrospect, Edge of Evolution was nice and alliterative, but I should have said the edge of Darwinism, because intelligent design is not the opposite of evolution, it's the opposite of Darwinism. Things could descend one from another, but through a purposeful, intelligently designed process. So the book explored that question. Well, you know, what is beyond random mutation and natural selection? And the main example I used was the development of resistance for a drug for malaria. Malaria is a disease, of course, that kills a lot of people still in the world, a very nasty disease. But a wonder drug was developed in the 1940s called chloroquine, but gradually malaria became resistant to it. And the underpinnings for the resistance were not discovered until relatively recently in the 2000s. So it was, you know, close to, you know, 5-6 years after Darwin's Black Box that this data came out. And I showed that, in fact, the problem was that for chloroquine resistance, you needed 2 mutations to occur at the same time. If you had just one of them, that didn't help. You needed 2 particular changes before malaria was resistant to chloroquine. And it turns out that slowed down the development of resistance tremendously. There are other drugs that will kill malaria, at least in the test tube in the lab. But to develop resistance to them, the malarial parasite has to have just one mutation, one particular mutation. And some workers in the field showed that about every 3rd person who was given this other drug, the one that required one mutation, every 3rd person, the malaria developed resistance in them. And it would kill most of them, but the resistant ones would live and then would reproduce, and pretty soon the patient is filled with resistant malaria. It's a problem. With chloroquine, resistance develops about once every billion patients. So 3 versus a billion. That's a big difference. And it's because the chloroquine requires 2 mutations at once before it has the resistance. So I make some distinctions and some careful considerations, but the long and the short of it is that if you need more than one tiny change at a time to get some beneficial effect, then Darwinian evolution is really breathing heavy. It's having a very tough time. If you need more than just 2, you know, you quickly run out of, you know, the likelihood of it occurring by Darwinian processes disappears. And I go on in my book, The Edge of Evolution, to say that many different biological processes will require multiple mutations before they're going to have an effect. And so the conclusion was that design, the edge of evolution, goes very deeply into life, much deeper than I thought, much deeper than I argued for, much deeper than I thought in Darwin's black box.